elephant in the room before I have a question or two for you, Mr. O'Neill. I'm concerned and confused that you're sitting alone at the table today. This was a hearing that was originally noticed to include the Surgeon General nominee. The circumstances under which she is now not appearing and has had a nomination withdrawn are puzzling. I don't know whether it was the behest of the committee, the White House, or some combination of both. But some news accounts suggest that her nomination was withdrawn because she positively commented about the COVID vaccine, that it was a blessing from God. The COVID vaccine development in the first Trump administration was a huge accomplishment. Operation Warp Speed, the development of that vaccine in such short time relative to other vaccine developments at a time when it was critically needed, was a real plus in my view. And the thought that because she praised it at the time, that would be a reason to withdraw her nomination troubles me. I don't know if that was the reason or it was something else, but that's being mentioned as a reason for the withdrawal, and that will obviously lead to a lot of questions when the new nominee is before us. Mr. O'Neill, you told the Finance Committee the other day that you supported, quote, focusing Medicaid on the populations it was created to support in the 1960s. And I think everyone on the committee believes that, but that opens up a pretty big question, which is, how about folks who have Medicaid because of the Affordable Care Act and Medicaid expansion? 20+ million Americans, including more than 670,000 Virginians, have Medicaid because of the Medicaid expansion component of the Affordable Care Act. As you know, Medicaid expansion is at state option. I think 41 of the 50 states have embraced Medicaid expansion. Have you made statements in the past in opposition to the Affordable Care Act?
I'm not sure, Senator.
Can you recall whether you've ever advocated in opposition to the Affordable Care Act?
I don't recall, Senator.
Can you recall whether you've ever stated a position about the Medicaid expansion part of the Affordable Care Act?
I don't believe I have, Senator.
Would you agree with me that if there were a proposal to eliminate the Affordable Care Act, including Medicaid expansion, that would be a massive and dramatic cut to Medicaid?
I don't know, Senator. I haven't looked at the numbers. There was obviously a lot of discussion in President Trump's first term about repealing and replacing the Affordable Care Act.
Repealing. We had a vote on a repeal without a replace. And it failed in the Senate because both Republicans and Democrats opposed repeal of the Affordable Care Act without a replacement. But you acknowledge that 41 states have embraced Medicaid expansion, states that have Republican governors and Democratic governors, Republican legislatures and Democratic legislatures. You acknowledge that, correct?
I believe that's accurate, Senator.
And you would not challenge me when I say more than 20 million Americans have health insurance through Medicaid expansion. Does that number sound generally in the range to you?
I believe you, Senator.
Yeah. Have you had conversations either with Secretary Kennedy, President Trump, or any other members of the Trump administration about repeal of the Affordable Care Act in a second Trump presidential term?
I don't believe I have, Senator.
Have you had conversations with anyone in the Trump administration, including Secretary Kennedy, about reductions or repeal of the Medicaid expansion part of the Affordable Care Act?
Perhaps very briefly, but I don't recall anything in specific.
Would it have been full repeal, partial repeal, reduction of the subsidies enabling families to afford Medicaid expansion, or do you recall?
I recall general discussions about preserving the core populations of Medicaid and how that's essential, and how any changes that Congress might like to make to the structure of Medicare would be up to Congress, and it would be HHS's responsibility to implement whatever Congress legislates.
Well, I want to dispute the notion that there is a core recipient of Medicaid and a non-core recipient of Medicaid. If you're a struggling family and the only way that you can afford health insurance for your family and kids is through Medicaid expansion that's part of the Affordable Care Act, you're not a non-core recipient of Medicaid. Medicaid is helping you and your family, and that to me is a core responsibility. I yield back, Mr. Chair.
Senator, in my opening statement, I did point out that many families struggle to afford health insurance. That is a continuing problem, and then what I would like to address, and there are probably multiple ways to address it.